Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Dynamo Football Book Club. My name's Al Bond and I'm here with my co-host, Johnny Coughlin. Johnny, how are you?
I'm super, Al. How are you doing?
Yep, tickety-boo. Thank you very much. So this week, in a bit of a departure, we are doing a slightly different book. We are doing the book Do You Speak Football by Tom Williams. Johnny, why is this book different?
Well, it's not about a player. This is the first book we've ever done that's not about a player. It's not a biography or an autobiography. So now we wander into the deep, dark forest of all football books. Exciting, isn't it, Al?
Well, not for me, Johnny, because I just need someone to take aim at, and this really takes away that opportunity. I love slagging off the players, and I don't get the opportunity here, but this is your kind of episode, I think.
Why? Why is it my kind of episode? Is that your compliment for me? Is that your compliment for me this week, Al?
Well, I had a lovely tall compliment for you, but I wanted to save that for the next one. All right, then. So, Johnny Coughlin, you once said if an actor was to play you in a movie, that actor would be George Best, a famously good-looking man. How do you answer these charges? Yeah.
Do you know who I get more than anyone now? Is David Tennant, the actor David Tennant. I get that quite regularly, actually.
Oh, really? Not that good looking. Well, Johnny.
He's got a right beak on him, which admittedly I do as well.
Well, I'm delighted to tell you, Johnny. I mean, I generally get, what's his face? I have a special set, Liam Neeson. But
you do not.
Yeah, I fucking do, mate. I get it all the time, so you can stick it. But even better, I swear on my life, on Saturday, this fella sadly, but he was like, hey man, did anyone ever tell you you look like Pedro Pascal? I was like, fucking call me daddy. Lovely stuff. Come on, Bondy.
Yeah, I got a few George Bests. I haven't had that one in a while. I think Keith Gillespie's probably a more accurate football player for me, unfortunately. The football man you look like is former Norwich manager, German guy.
Oh, yeah, what's his face? No, I don't. I look like Gundogan. Ilkay Gundogan. That's it. I can see it. When I see Gundogan playing on the pitch, I'm like, there's me.
Well, I can see that a bit, but what's the name of the fella I'm thinking of?
Daniel Farke.
You really look like Daniel Farke.
He's all chin, isn't he? He's all... Yeah, lots of lovely topics. Oh, yes, he loves the topic.
Okay, so Tom Williams. Tell me about Tom Williams.
Yeah, he's a Welsh fella. He's a big podcast fella. He's all over podcasts. That's how I first heard of this book. But yeah, he used to write for The Blizzard. I believe this was how this book germinated. It was an article for The Blizzard and it got expanded to a world of terminology. So basically, this book will tell you what a nutmeg is called in about 30 different countries.
Yeah, a nutmeg seems to be the particular term or a skill or element of football that has the most names. So what he does is, it's a glossary, right? So he does an A to Z, an A to Z of terms in any given footballing nation. So in the kind of big football nations, he includes more terms than he does for Ireland, for example. I think there were 4 or maybe 5. Whereas, your Brazils and your Argentinas, quite understandably, there's a lot more terminology. It's kind of more fun hearing about South America than what we say in Ireland anyway.
Well, there's Australasia football terminology. That goes into 2 pages, whereas European football terminology is 200 pages. But that makes sense. But anyways, I tell you what, to give it some shape. So, nutmeg. Where does that come from, Johnny?
I'm sure I wondered about this at some stage, but I would have guessed that it was because it rhymed with leg or legs. But no, according to Tom Williams, it's because American nutmeg salesmen, they're kind of Trump, kind of like huckster type nutmeg salesmen, were shaving pieces of wood into nutmeg and selling it to naive English nutmeg consumers, And that term actually meant that you've kind of been done, you've been had, to be nutmegged. So it was in popular English, and then it went into football. Do you believe that, Al?
Yes, cue hilarity, Johnny. Yeah, nutmegs. Yeah, big nutmeg salesman. Yes. It seems far-fetched. I mean, there's I thought, you said it rhymed with legs. I thought it had something maybe to do with nuts, i.e., the ball's being passed between, below your nuts. But yeah, apparently, this was because nutmeg salesmen would sell to people. And so, when someone put the ball through your legs, they'd shout, nutmeg, and you'd think, oh, I'm just like a naive nutmeg vendor from England who's been sold some shoddy nutmegs from America. I mean, maybe that's true, Johnny. Maybe it's true.
But what you said actually squares with the definitions from other countries. So, panna is what it's called in the Netherlands, which means bridge. But in a lot of countries, it's like something to do with eggs. So, ovo in Brazil means, or in Portuguese means egg. And that's what, but it's more to do with what you said, I think. Something passing through the legs. So yeah, maybe idea of the rhyming. Is there any Cockney rhyming slang in football?
Oh no, I don't think there.
I didn't see any in the book. You would think that it would have gotten in there, but I would say I think this book. There's a few things I would say. First, it's a pile of fun, and if you're into trivia, if you're into kind of fun little details about football, which you can kind of tell your friend in the pub or whatever, this is a great book. But it is a glossary of terms. So it goes continent by continent, country by country with lists. So it's not the kind of book where you sit down and read it cover to cover, I would say. I think it would have made for a good toilet book or a good kind of coffee table book if they had done some nice pictures and diagrams even, that kind of thing. But I guess it's not a complaint, it's just the nature of the book. It's that... yeah, you wouldn't really sit down and read it. Of course, we did sit down and read it because that's what we do with these books. But I think maybe most people wouldn't do that. And I think maybe it could have been compelling with some countries, not all, because this would have kind of got a bit tiresome. But I think it struck me that the terminology from a given country was quite specific to how that country plays, or the kind of football culture of that particular country. And I think he could have tried to set it out more in an essay format. So Al, would you like me to venture to do this for a country?
Yes, I would, Johnny. Yes, please.
Okay. Bear with me now. Okay, I'm going to do Argentina because I think Argentina have a very identifiable football country. And it's also very close to the front of the book. So in Argentina, they play football La Nostra, our way, which is to contrast with the kick and chase football that would have been introduced by English settlers. So,
here's the first drive-by on English football. There's fucking loads of it in this book. Loads of it. Go on, man. Yeah, bloody English, kicking it, just hoofing the ball like idiots.
I didn't know until you said it to Tom Williams as Welsh, but it makes a bit of sense, actually.
He's one of those undercover Welsh people who has an English accent, so it's all the more jarring. It's like, why are you so bloody silly? Oh, I see.
Okay, so La Nostra, Argentinian football folk, there's a lot of focus on gambetas, which means dribbling, and there's a real focus on the enganche, the number 10. And we came across this when we did the Maradona book and maybe the Messi book as well, that more than any footballing culture, there's a real emphasis on this one particular player, the number 10, who, and obviously the two players I mentioned are famously are the most famous players from Argentina. But the way the game is played in Argentina, it really focuses around, or is really kind of built around the number 10, the enganche. And there is kind of a spectrum in Argentinian football for Argentinian teams, national teams, club teams. And it's whether the team plays the school of Menottismo or Ballardismo. Do you remember these guys? Carlos Luis Menotti and Ballardo. What was Ballardo's first name?
Carlos.
Yes, very good. So the thin one.
That was like a racist guess, wasn't it? But it all paid off for me. Good stuff.
The thin one, and do you remember what the other one was called?
All right, so LaFlaca was the thin guy, and Bilardo, that's big nose, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. Bilardo was big nose. So they were the coaches of 78 and 86. And Menotti was the coach in 78 when Argentina was under the military dictatorship. And he saw the role of football as entertainment, so he wanted to play a very entertaining style of football, whereas Bilardo was a much more pragmatic style of coach, like a Mourinho. So anytime any given Argentinian team would be described in whether or not it fits in one school or the other, Menotti was so ashamed of the style of football that Bilardo played, or he was so embarrassed by it, shall we say, that in 1990, when he brought them to their second World Cup in a row playing that type of football, Menotti said he was ashamed to be Argentinian. That's exciting, isn't it? Anyway, I also noticed that there was, in a given country, the terminology would also reflect kind of broader kind of cultural mores of a particular place. So there are gaucho expressions in Argentinian football. I like this one. Do you remember what a pecho frio means, Al?
Free fish.
Cold chest. It's for a lazy horse, and it refers to a player that goes missing in a game. It's a gaucho expression, and this used to be said quite regularly of Juan Roman Riquelme, who never really did it for the national team apparently. But if I had to ask you before you read this book if you knew any Argentinian football term, you would have done. Do you remember what it would be?
It's a little lad with a dirty face. The PB.
Very nice, Al. Yeah, El Pibe. So, and this is a quote, and this was written in 1926, remarkable. A dirty face, a mane of hair, rebelling against the comb, intelligent, roving, trickster eyes, and a ragball at his feet. This is written by a fella called Borococo, written in El Gráfico. And of course, Maradona was the most famous El Pibe of all. El Pibe de Oro, the golden kid. That's nice, isn't it? So these little lads, they would have played on Potrero, which are baked earth pitches, kind of jumpers for goalposts, that kind of thing. And they would have been celebrated for their viveza, their sharpness, but also their picardia, their craftiness. And we know those Argentinian footballers are crafty as you like, Al. And so I'll round us off by returning to our friend, the most famous.
It's fun, isn't it? Because when Argentinians cheat, they're crafty and clever, but when English people cheat, it's just awful. Oh, awful!
Remember you mentioned
terrible.
Remember you mentioned Ben Thatcher elbowing that guy Mendes.
crafty son,
crafty old Ben Thatcher.
Riddle dee whack.
Yeah, the Argentinians kind of lived by their wits. So apparently, in the 1990 World Cup, Brazil accused him of drugging the water bottle of the left back Branco, who just had a mare, and he claims he was drugged because he would be given a water bottle by one of the Argentinian players. So living by your wits is one thing to call it. So the most famous Pibe of all, he said that when he pulled off the hand of God, he said he was putting his hand in the pocket of an Englishman and removing money that did not belong to him. And he also said, and you can see how, let me test your Spanish now here, Al. Un poco con la cabeza de Maradona y un poco con la mano de Dios.
Yeah, I mean, just feel free to steal from English people. That's fair enough. That is, I know what it means. It's partly the hand of Maradona, but partly the hand of God.
A little with the head of Maradona, a little with the hand of God. This guy just pulls that out of the sky in an interview. Come on,
That's
dude.
what charisma is, isn't it, Johnny? That's what charisma is right there.
So in the same day, he scores with his hand. He scores this amazing goal. And then he just comes out with these expressions. Absolutely magic.
Does no one have a thought for the poor English folk, though, back in 1986? Heartbroken? No. There's no sympathy for them.
I was only 2, Al, but I suspect I know how I would have been cheering for had I been sentient.
This was before my football time. I don't think I watched any of the 86 World Cup. I think I only came into it later, so it doesn't really bother me.
So, what do you think of my suggestion, Al, that he could have done nice little essays for certain countries?
Yeah, but absolutely. I mean, that would have been pleasant, but then the book would have been 1,500 pages long, and it would have took us many, many, many hours to read. But it is nice. I mean, can I pick up on some other the South American expressions?
Please.
All right, then. Well, this stays in Argentina. And this isn't so much a premedio. Do you know what a premedio is, Johnny?
Is it something that's premeditated?
It is not. It's an average. It's an average. It's something they did in Argentina. Apparently in the early 80s, River Plate got relegated. So they said, no. You don't get relegated from one season. You get relegated if you add up all the totals of your scores from 3 seasons and then divide it, and then you get the average. Oh, River, you're not relegated. Well done.
Really?
Imagine the outrage. The absolute outrage if anybody tried that now.
That's amazing. So they just went out of their way to keep them up. I can't imagine FIFA trying to pull something like that these days.
Oh, they would never do anything like that. No.
Nope. I'd like to see English football band together to make sure Manchester United stay up if they get relegated next year, if we continue to plunge at this precipitous rate.
Surely nay, but then you'd think this wasn't possible. A couple more. Now, my favourite bit from Brazil, and you talked about this book. This is a book, it's nice to have a little phone next to you, because a lot of the entries are just little exciting moments that happen in football, and this was one that happened in 1999. Embaixadinhas. Excuse me, folks. Embaixadinhas. What does that mean, Johnny?
I don't know, but it might be a pronunciation.
It's keepy-ups. And the example here, a 1999 game between Corinthians and Palmeiras. Now, I can tell you, Johnny, there's no love lost there. I once wore a green shirt to a family do with my ex-Brazilian girlfriend, and her auntie was genuinely disgusted. No family member should wear a green shirt ever, because it was Palmeiras' colour. We all had some fun with that. Yeah, genuinely. Really, they won't wear green. No green. In all honesty, green's not my colour, Johnny. I shouldn't be wearing green either. But Corinthians had secured victory. We're in the last 5 minutes, and there's a lad called Adilson, who I don't know from any other situation, and he just starts doing some keepy-uppies, right? The ball comes to him, he just starts doing keepy-uppies. You can see, the Palmeiras players, they're annoyed. And then he boots it up, and then he lets it roll down his back and does a little keepy-uppy off his back. And then a lad comes over and fucking destroys him. It's absolute mayhem. It's brilliant. Well worth a watch. He's just tra-la-la, how do you like this? Oh, you don't like it at all. It is it turns into a riot immediately. It's so much fun. And the other thing I like to talk about Brazilian keepy-uppies is, do you remember in the late 90s who the world keepy-uppy champion was?
No.
It was Ronaldo, El Fenomeno's girlfriend. This was something which was, do you remember that, Johnny? And she was absolutely gorgeous. I can't remember her name, sadly. And she did keepy-uppies for 9 hours. And I can remember thinking back then, what more could you possibly want from a woman? What more could you want? Look at her. Absolutely gorgeous, Brazilian, and she can keep the ball up for 9 hours. What a chick.
Okay, well, we stay in South America. Did you know, Al, where the first ever Olympic or lap of honour was performed, or Olympic lap as it's known in the home country?
Was it Uruguay?
Yes, it's almost as if you read this book.
And recalled some of it. Well done, me.
So they performed the first lap of honour after beating Switzerland in the 1924 final of the Olympics. And this surprised me. Another team, Defensor Sporting, also Uruguayan, defied convention once by doing a clockwise lap of honour when they won the league in 1976, and they were known for their leftist sympathies, and they were the first team other than Penarol or Nacional to win the National League, or to win the league in Uruguay. But did you know that you always do a lap of honour counterclockwise?
to symbolise leftist policies or leaving?
No, they went the other way. They went clockwise, which I guess would be left. But yeah, this is what the book claims. Yep.
So if you do a lap of honour now, someone would be like, fucking woke nonsense. Look at that, man. Look at them going the wrong way around the bloody pitch. Look at them. Neo-Marxists.
I liked when expressions came into football from general life, as we said, potentially with nutmeg, but I also liked when expressions came from football into life, more broadly speaking. So, in Uruguay, in the 1928 Olympic final against Argentina, geez, those guys were good, weren't they? Uruguay. The ball was passed to one fella who had a shot on goal, and he let it go to the next guy, and he said, "Tuya, Hector. Yours, Hector." And he let it roll on to the next fella who smashed it into the net. And apparently, in Uruguay, when you're giving something to someone to do, on you go there, lad. That's what you say. "Tuya, Hector."
Oh, that's nice. Here's another one. This is I'm going to jump continents here, but there's another one that's passed into life. This is Denmark and Richtig Jesper Olsen. And there was a very crucial game where Jesper Olsen gave away a pass. He thought he was passing it back to the goalkeeper, but in fact he was passing it to Emilio Butragueño. And now that then there's he's done it right, fucking Jesper Olsen there. And apparently now when a politician fucks up, he's like, oh, look at that, he's done it right, Jesper Olsen. So that'd be great, wouldn't it, if your name was known for fucking up? That's what your name for. Oh, it's Jesper Olsen, whose name means he's a clown.
Yeah, God, that's shocking. Can you imagine you spend your whole life being brilliant at something? Like Jesper Olsen played for Manchester United.
But in Denmark, he's a clown man.
Yeah. Just one fuck up. Okay, well, while you're on that topic, I'll give you a couple of terms that were named after people, which was another fun element, wasn't it?
All right.
So, in both Swedish and French, which is a bit of a giveaway, the French version is Zlatane, after Zlatan Ibrahimovic. What do you think Zlatane, To Zlatan, what do you think it means?
To be very modest and humble.
Correct, absolutely.
That's it.
It means to dominate, and it comes from like a skit that the French equivalent of Spitting Image did, where he was just essentially saying that he would win everything all the time. It's kind of fun to have that as your name.
Half the magic in him is his fucking name, isn't it? Like, imagine if Ronaldo was called Zlatan Ronaldo. He'd be even better. Such a good name. And his name with a Z. I was so close to being Zach. That's what my dad wanted to call me, Zach Bond. Imagine that cool guy. I wonder what Zach Bond would be doing now. Probably on a yacht, loving it, rather than like dickhead Alistair Bond here.
Okay, moving on from that. What is a Barthez in Israel?
To be totally shit at keeping.
Yeah, goalkeeping error. And what's
World Cup winner, Barthez. Israel, you've got it wrong again.
What's the Casenato?
Oh, that's related to Antonio Casano, right? That's to be fucking mental.
Perennially exasperating behaviour. The perennially exasperating behaviour of Antonio Casano, and this was coined by Fabio Capello. That's pretty damn nice.
Perennially irritating behaviour. Oh, mate, I know a few people who are Casenato. A
few others is a Sander Zog. A Sander angle is named after a Hungarian player who used to score from very tight angles. A memorable own goal in Italy is named after Comardo Nicolai of Calgary. An auto goal alla Nicolai, which is nice. Staying in Italy, a Garaletta is an unorthodox goalkeeper. According to one of the Agnellis, this guy was the best goalkeeper in the world, just not with his hands, which I thought was really nice. And a back heel in Russia is named after a fella called Eduardo Streltsov, who was thrown into a gulag for 20 years and accused of rape in a case that may have been political. But he only served 5 years. There you go, Al.
That's one of those funny things, isn't it? Like, I think there's probably a word in every country that it's like, this is the guy who invented the back heel. Somebody fucking backheeled a ball like everywhere, right? It's like, look at this lad, look, he's amazing.
And what do you think about the various claims in there from other countries who have invented football, Al? Tell me about that. It's not actually English. It's Italian, I think.
Yes, Johnny. You want to get my fucking total work nonsense going again? Like, okay. So in the start of the chapter on Asia, it's like, there's been Yeah, many people claim there were games involving kicking in ancient China. Is China really the birthplace of football? And yeah, there was like a massive fucking scrum which involved some sort of ball in Italy in the 1600s. Oh, did Italy invent the game? No, they fucking didn't. No, they didn't. It was invented in England because they codified the fucking rules in England. You can't just go around saying, "Oh, I've kicked something. I invented football." Someone kicked a dog. There's evidence that somebody kicked a dog in sub-Saharan Africa. Did they invent football? No, they fucking didn't. You need a ball. You need to kick it in a goal with a pitch. That's football. Otherwise, it's just kicking things. No, thank you, Johnny. No, thank you.
Yeah, so the Italian one is Calcio Firenze, although I had come across this before under the name Calcio Storico, which I just think means historical football. But have you ever seen a video of that? Calcio Storico.
I have not.
It is wild stuff. It's like they get two teams and they have to run with a round ball from one end to the other. It's a bit more like rugby, and I think it's on sand pitch. And they headbutt each other. They punch each other.
Tell you what, Johnny, they can have rugby. They can have that. They invented rugby. It's all yours, lads. It's all yours. Fine. Italy invented rugby. Good for you. Well done.
But I think they kick fellas out of prison, like really, really hardened criminals, like violent people, to do this. So if you want a little fright for yourself, have a look at Calcio Firenze or Calcio Storico. But it came up in the context of this book because Calcio, they didn't want to call it football, so they called it Calcio, which means
kick.
Yeah. Did he say it was the only country where it's not called football?
No, there wasn't. And I've just looked that up. In Slovenia, Bosnia and Croatia, can you remember what it's called? Football?
No.
I had no idea about this. Nogomet. Nogomet. Nogamet. That's what it's called. You want to head down the park for a quick game of Nogomet? Yes, please.
That's lovely. We are the Dynamo Nogomet Book Club.
I'll take it. Oh,
yeah, it's lovely.
It was hard enough persuading, describing the name before, wasn't it? It really was.
So, as you said about fellas who supposedly invented things, one thing that seems to be credited to different people in different countries, I think Chile and Peru. In Chile, it's a chilena. In Italy, it's a chalaca. Sorry, in Peru, it's a chalaca, is the bicycle kick. But there was also a fella in Italy who they say was the inventor. But yeah, it does seem a bit specious to be saying one person invented something like that.
Yeah, I mean, as long as a ball has been in the air, somebody is going to try to have kick it, aren't they? They are.
I don't know, Doyle, you say that, but if you look at fellas, the skills that they do now, a lot of them just didn't exist when we were kids.
But they probably did exist, right? But you just didn't see them. Somebody did them. It's like, oh, look at Michael Jackson moonwalking. There's footage in the 20s of some kiddie moonwalking. There was someone doing a roulado on a pitch in Bulgaria in 1950. It's just no one saw it.
So the Cruyff turn, actually, he says in the book that the Cruyff turn may not have been invented by Cruyff, doesn't he?
Because it fucking wasn't invented by fucking Cruyff. I mean, I did it instinctively. I'm not saying I'm like some Johan Cruyff of a player, but I'm sure I've done that well, yes, I did. And I didn't call it a Cruyff turn. It was just a sweet move. Let me take you back, Johnny, to 1995. Alice is attending Melton College. No, well, I did a Cruyff turn there, and I scored a beautiful goal. It's probably my finest moment in football, and it involved a Cruyff turn, but I didn't know it was called that. Maybe I invented it. And by the way, the overhead kick was famously invented by Doug Ellis, the old Aston Villa chairman.
Go on.
Look it up, folks. He claims to have invented it. So it should be called a Doug Ellis. It's absolutely shameful that it's not.
In Iceland, and obviously I'm actually going to butcher this, it's called a Hallhestaspurna, a bicycle horse kick, but because bicycles were originally known as horses on wheels.
That was an excellent pronunciation. In Vietnam, a bicycle kick is called, and I'm not even going to try any pronunciation here, it's called a kick in the shape of the person smoking opium. So, it's regions. Just
as we enter Europe, I think maybe I'll ask you a few questions, will I? About England. different terms related to England. What do you think a Wembley tour is in Germany?
A goal that does not cross the line but is awarded a goal.
Just a dubious goal.
A Wembley tour. Okay.
What is a risultato alla inglese? An English result in Italy.
I remember this, Johnny. I remember it. It's 2-0, isn't it? It's 2-0 with a goal in each half.
Yeah, apparently so rare were goals in Italy that they needed a term for a game that finished 2-0.
Those supporters went home with a treat that time, didn't they? The only winner was football.
Mamma.
Goal.
Mamma, there was the risultato alla inglese.
Duo goals, duo.
Okay, let's stop. An Anglican in the Czech Republic. This is quite obscure, but it's nice.
Tell me.
It's a shot that goes in off the crossbar in the Czech Republic.
Oh, I'll take it. Nice. An Anglican. Oh, yeah. I've got a question for you, Johnny. And having perused this book, this is absolutely my favourite terminology. It comes from Denmark. But what is a Bundesliga-Haar? I've said that funny. I've written it down. Bundesliga-Haar. What is a Bundesliga-Haar? Do you remember?
Like a German player?
No, this is the best one. It's a mullet. A lovely mullet. If someone's got
Bundesliga
a
hair.
mullet in Denmark, it's a Bundesliga hair. Yeah, Bundesliga hair. I mean, that's great, isn't it? And it's so perfect. I would imagine there was not that I had my eyes on the German league, particularly in the 80s and 90s, but I would imagine there was a lot of mullets going on. A lot. In Germany, an Arschkart, that's a red card because he pulls it from his arse region, an Arschkart.
An arse card, that's lovely.
Yeah, and we have one like Mark Wilmots. He was a combative midfielder, a Belgian midfielder. He was known as Schweinkampf, a battle pig. Yes, please.
That's lovely. Well, okay, my favourite term, perfect segue from a battle pig, is a pick-a-tappy, which is a defensive midfielder in Finland. But do you know what a pick-a-tappy is, Al?
I believe it has something to do with nature, sir, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Leaving nature kind of try into you. It's a faecal plug. It's the hardened shit in a bear's ass after winter. After it's been hibernating. That's what a defensive midfielder is called in Finland. Can you name any defensive midfielders from Finland, Al?
No, because no one would. Nobody would volunteer, would they? Who's playing faecal plug? I'm up front.
Faecal plug.
I'm all right. I'll play in fucking goal before I'm a faecal plug.
Yeah, there was one. I think it was Hungarian. It was a Lep Kevadas, a butterfly hunter, for a goalkeeper who's kind of like swatting at a ball. It's quite nice, isn't it?
Well, it is evocative, isn't it? That exactly. Yeah, it says exactly what it says. I mean, another one that says exactly what it says is in French. Deschamps has pussy. Deschamps est chat. It says what it sounds. Didier Deschamps is super lucky. Apparently, if you have pussy, it's like a two-way sort of thing. Pussy means what it means in English, and it also means to have luck. So he's walking around with loads of pussy because he is a lucky manager, isn't he, old Deschamps? There's no question about that.
Okay, Al, what did you think of the terms from England? Because the terms from Ireland, I think there was only 5, and I must say, I don't think I would use many of them. So a duffer is a kind of a shit player, essentially, which is, of course, if you said duffer in football context in Ireland, we would think of Damien Duff. A banger is a player who is pretending to be under a certain age, but he's actually older. I don't think I've
a banger is a 2-0 win in Italy, Johnny. Mum, you a banger.
House, watch your house now. That is one that I've heard. So, man on, I guess is what you'd say in England, right? When there's a player behind you. To burst someone is an expression to kind of hurt someone, but that's kind of broader than football. I would say he really burst them. And then a McGeady spin. Did you know there was a spin named after Aidan McGeady?
Oh, it's like a double drag back with a little knock as well to take him away. Yeah, he's the first person who ever did that.
Yeah, he invented it. He invented the McGeady spin. What do you call the thing that, Zidane would be most associated with, that double drag back?
I looked it up. It's a roulette, right? It's a roulette. I called it a double drag back. Apparently, I called a Marseille spin, which is kind of sexy, but not called a roulado like I've spent my whole life thinking. I thought it was called a roulado, and there is no evidence of that word anywhere on the internet. There's a roulade, which is food, and there's a roulette, which is that spin. But the roulado is something that I invented in my own brain.
Well, the McGeady spin is essentially, the first bit is pulling it under your boot with your studs, but then the second is just kind of knocking it with your foot rather than another kind of under the foot kind of drag, which is...
Well, I did look that up, and it is a sexy little skill because it's that extra little tap because he's on the line. It just takes him totally away from his marker. It looks great. I can't actually remember ever seeing Aidan McGeady pull it off. Certainly never did it at Everton, did he? But I can recall.
Yeah, he had a few moments for Ireland, which is always enjoyable because he's Scottish.
And he went off to play in Russia, didn't he? Like for quite a long time. An interesting career.
So sticking with Russia, a Dogo Voronyak is an agreed match in Russian. And I remember we came across the same concept when we did the Totti book, and that's called a biscotti, which I thought was really nice.
Oh, yeah, they're furious if you actually try at the end of a season in Italy. Again, which I'm sure is absolutely fabulous. Like, imagine if they did that in England, like, those dirty English cheats conspiring to get a result. But in Italy, it's a lovely little biscuit. Would you like a little biscuit? Cheating. Would you like one? Yes, please.
I wonder how regional a lot of these words are. And the fella has put in a lot of work, but do you think he just fought, an obscure country in this, let's say, with respect to listeners from Burkina Faso, do you think he just called one fella and said, hey, give us a few terms that you use there in football? Like, is that how this book was written?
I think there might be an element of that. And I can find an example of it. And we're going to fly out to Asia, Johnny. We're going to fly out to South Korea for this example. Now, I remember when he was promoting this book and he talked about Leeds days. And apparently in South Korea that means like your salad days, your halcyon days. Oh, and Leeds as in Leeds United. And that apparently stems from Alan Smith's transfer from Leeds to Manchester United, whereby Alan Smith, when he was at Leeds, was like fucking brilliant, wasn't he? He was brilliant. I was like, actually was he? But that's for another time. He was a really good player. But when he went to Manchester United and suddenly had the eyes of South Korea on him because he was playing alongside Ji-sung Park, he sort of fell apart and everyone would talk about his Leeds days, which were times in the past where things were better. And the author certainly claimed that it has passed into South Korean terminology. Well, having done extensive research of speaking to one South Korean, they had no fucking idea what a Leeds days meant. I explained it at length, and genuinely I sort of almost offended them. So I don't know how true some of these things are, but there is a little bit of suspension of disbelief in all this. This is really a very uncynical book, and I should try not to view it with a cynical eye.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. The guy it comes across he's a real fan. It's lovely, actually. All those little anecdotes about where things come from. He's quite charmed by them, and that comes across in the book.
No, he is wide-eyed with joy at the international game, isn't he? He genuinely is. He just absolutely loves it, apart from all things English.
Yeah. So we can all get behind that, really, can't we?
I guess so, Johnny.
I remember when we were in Cambodia and we played football, and I remember... SH is a sound that people struggle with in Cambodia, so it was always suit when it was time to shoot, which was always really sweet, I thought.
Yeah, that is nice. All right, we're staying in Asia. I've got a couple more. The Asian chapter starts with, like a magnetic field, Asian football is strongest at its edges. Okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, and then the next line is, there is historical evidence that ball games with feet were played in several Asian countries. Oh, well done.
It's like the Mayans kicking around the heads of the people that they sacrificed. It was the start of football. That's where football came from, Al. It just took a plucky old Victorian Englishman to codify it. You don't use a head, you use a leather ball.
Codification, Johnny. It's all about that. Well, talking of heads... In 1985, in China, Headers counted for double. He got 2 goals for a header. How about that?
I could get behind that. Headers are hard, man.
I know, but do we want that game? Where it's just big men up front? Hey, Crouchy is fucking messy in this world. Like,
well, in Gaelic football, they've just introduced the rules. So I don't know if you've ever seen Gaelic football, but it's not dissimilar to soccer, but you can catch it and you kick it into a goal for 3 points and you kick it over the bar for 1 point. But because the way the game had changed and fellas said they could fairly methodically get it around the pitch and kind of put it over the bar very easily, they're now giving 2 points for one outside the box. Just kind of a bigger box, but it's to encourage more spectacular strikes.
no kidding.
So would you? What if two goals for a bicycle kick and 2 goals for a diving header? How would you feel about that?
I don't know. I'm thinking about Forest last season with Chris Wood. Yeah, maybe I'm all for the double header goals. Yes, I'm on board. No, you get 3 for a bicycle kick, right? Surely. You get 4 for a volley, a full volley outside the box.
Well, in the days of Manchester City bringing it to the byline and coming back and passing it for the same goal every fucking time, maybe eventually we'll get there. Maybe we'll be talking about this.
Yeah. If you run with the ball from your own half and don't pass it to anyone, 5 goals.
I just, when you watch the goals from the Championship in any given year, it's just absolutely amazing. The best goals from the Championship.
Yeah, it is interesting how they categorise great goals. I watched the Premier League goals of the year recently, and they've got a goal of the season from every season. And this one, it was like Marmouche last season. It was just a long shot. Fucking long shots should never ever be in best goals. You got to have little dinky dinks and stuff.
Well,
you can finish with a long shot by all means, but it can't be the goal of the season. Can't be.
That Daly and Atkinson goal, I think, is a good example. He runs around a bunch of lads and then just does an amazing finish. The little
lovely
chip from the edge of the box. Amazing. That was a brilliant goal.
Yeah, Atkinson, he's way back when as well. That's it. You should see watching that footage now. It's like what? Oh man, before high definition. Anyway,
he's dead now. He's dead now.
Yeah, I know. So's the bird, the singer from Delight. I learned that the other day.
Can I ask you a question? Because it came up in a crossword yesterday and I didn't have the answer. Kevin Rowland, which band is he from?
Dexys Midnight Runners.
Oh, look at that.
Genuinely, he used to live on the next street to me and go to the same boozer in Brighton. And he'd always wear a long trench coat. And I think he was all right. I never spoke to him. But he was like I genuinely saw Kevin Rowland all the time when I lived in Brighton.
Okay. Well, I'll still give you credit for that one. Okay. Well, let's finish this up because we're now talking about people who used to drink in your local pub.
I got a couple more for Asia, mate. Very first. A bad shot in Chinese is apparently a stir-fried aeroplane. I just like it.
It's lovely.
This one sounds a bit dodgy, but the offside trap in Japan is literally called offusaido trapo. All right, fine. Let's wrap it up. There was not much from North Central America, obviously, because what the fuck have we got to learn about football from these guys? But I will give you this. Probably the biggest new word into football is assist, right? And that comes directly from American sports. And we're always talking about assists now, goal involvements and all that. So they have played their horrible part.
Well, XG and goal involvements are some of the most boring. We're gone too far down the kind of statistician kind of line there, haven't we? With some of that stuff. God, that's boring.
Well, that's all fantasy football, isn't it? That's all because of fantasy football. No one ever thought about assists when I was a kid. Nobody ever.
If you want to stay in Central America, what's a culebrita, a little snake in El Salvador?
Oh, the little elastico.
Yes.
Which in Japan, sorry Johnny, but it really is called an irashiko. It is. That's what it's called, an irashiko.
Okay, well, here's a few little fun tidbits then as well. Did you know that Mark Hughes coined the term the hairdryer treatment for Ferguson? I didn't know that. Did you know that it was Teddy Sheringham who put Klinsmann up to doing the dive celebration because Klinsmann was being accused of being a diver and what he wanted to do was go to a press conference wearing a snorkel. Did you know that Jimmy
You could
Greaves...
do both. You could do both, Klinsman. You could do both. Do the dive, but also turn up in a snorkel. Prop comedy, Johnny. All four.
Did you know that Jimmy Greaves invented the term funny all game?
Yeah, I think so. I think when I was a kid, I just assumed Jimmy Greaves invented all the terms, to be honest. I thought he invented a game of two halves as well. Is that possible?
Well, maybe he did. And did you know, actually, just not in the book, but a greave is a part of armour that covers the shin. There you go. There
you go.
And let me just finish up this little piece, if you want to call it that, with some questions about our friend. He came up in our last podcast, a certain Ron Atkinson. So here are some examples of Wronglish, terms that he has committed to the football lexicon. So what's a reducer? That one you know.
That is a hard tackle, which in Nigeria is called a no-nonsense.
What's a lollipop?
Step over.
Yeah. Early doors.
I find it struggle to believe that Ron Atkinson was the first person to say that. But yeah, early on in the game. All right, fair enough.
Okay, and these ones are nicer. Okay. Eyebrows.
Flick on.
Yeah, headed flick on. And then a spotter's badge, which must come from the Scouts or something.
I don't know. What is that, Johnny?
Just spotting a good pass. That's lovely, isn't it? Spotter's badge for Bond.
So De Bruyne gets a spotter's badge.
Yeah, exactly. And okay, I'm going to stop now because we're just listing terms, but I really did think these two were lovely as well. Prime Gegner is a first violin in Austria. They're so classy in Austria with their first violin and their first to an outstanding player. And Cat's Paw, Catapult, is silky technique in Denmark.
Oh, lovely soft touch. All right, I've got one more term, Johnny, and then we can call it a day. But if a Bundesliga Haar is a mullet, what is a fucking idiot called in Nigeria? It's called a Dundee United. Dundee United in the 70s went on a tour of Nigeria. They played 5 games. They lost 4 of them, including 2 games to the luminaries such as Stationary Stores FC and the Kaduma Bees. And apparently it was such a shit show now that if you're an idiot in Nigeria, you're called a Dundee. Lovely stuff. And that was our old friend Jim McLean as well, the bane of Duncan Ferguson, who took them out to Nigeria.
Oh, really? That's lovely, isn't it?
That is nice.
So one other term from Africa, which I thought was really lovely, was shoeshine and piano, which refers to a style of play, kind of like a tidy, neat passing game in South Africa. It's just a lovely expression, isn't it? Sunshine and piano. It
is lovely. Yeah, that's it. Sunshine and piano football. That really is evocative, isn't it? Like, it's the start of the season and Man City are playing their sunshine and football. No, sunshine. What was it?
Sunshine and piano. Sunshine and piano football.
Awful by me. Yeah, sunshine and piano, that's lovely.
You know, there's not a pile of shape to this discussion, but I think it's clear we both enjoyed the book, eh?
Yeah, we did. Absolutely. There's a lot going on. Yeah, and there's no question I've learned a great deal about it.
My request to Tom Williams is get this out in a kind of a glossy version with pictures. The pictures in the book are shocking. There's a couple of little hand-drawn illustrations, but you know he could get a fancy glossy one out there, and people would buy it for people for Christmas. I think you can make some money out of this, Tom. Come on.
Oh, you want a real fancy coffee table book? Yeah, that'd be lovely. Yeah, and that would really work because so much of this is context, and you see the scenes and stuff.
But you know, just say I called over to your house and I saw that on the table. I'd pick it up and I'd happily read it for 20, 30 minutes.
Exactly. If there was like Bundesliga Haar and then there is some absolutely outrageous mullet picture there, I mean, that's delightful, isn't it? Like, just get a Rudy Voller in there. Boom. Lovely stuff.
Okay, that's our request to Tom Williams. But okay, how many fecal plugs?
There's always going to be fecal plugs.
How many fecal plugs would you give that out of 5?
Can you give half fecal plugs? It's not really a fecal plug if it's a half, is it? For the case of this, I'm going to give it 3.5 fecal plugs, but obviously that half fecal plug is not plugging any fecal matter.
It's a kind of smaller bear's fecal plug. Yeah. Pick a tappy. I'll give it 3.5 pick a tappy as well. That's what I had in mind. So well done, Tom Williams. I thought that was a lovely book.
Yep, very enjoyable indeed.
Yeah, okay, so our next book, Alistair, is...
The Feet of the Chameleon. Again, this is not a book about a footballer, but it is a book about African football.
And having started the book, I can tell you where the expression comes from, Al.
Oh, and where does it come from?
So it was in, I think it's in the Zulu language it was. I can't remember which country, but the commentator... Apparently people were getting really confused by slow motion replays. They didn't know what was going on. And then this commentator, he used this expression to say, and now we're going to watch it again through the feet of the chameleon. And somehow this kind of stuck. It's an expression for a slow motion replay. And then the term was also used to describe Michael Essien's style of play. He's got the feet of the chameleon too. That's nice, isn't it?
It's a personal favourite of mine. And did you know that, Johnny, 200 years ago, a Sudanese kid kicked a stone? I think they invented football in Africa.
Yeah, well,
no.
Thankfully, some plucky Englishmen came along and codified it for us all, along with rugby, cricket, badminton, tennis, squash, whatever else. Your devils for the codification.
Rugby, that's Italian, Johnny. They've got it. That's theirs. That's safe. You can keep that, Italy. You've got rugby.
Do you know Queensberry, the guy who codified boxing? His son was the fella in the relationship with Oscar Wilde that undid Oscar Wilde. Did you know that?
I did know that, actually, Johnny. I don't mean to be a big head, but yes, I did know that.
Anyway, okay, and we are back next week with a draft of giants. The giant draft.
For this draft, you have to be 6'5", 6'4". No, thank you, sir. You won't be in our draft team. You have to be 6'5", 1m92 and above for our next draft.
Is it 192? I think it's 198.
6'5". Height should only be measured in feet. And England codified. Yeah, I know what I sound like. I know what I sound like now. I am 0.02 of a kilometre tall.
Okay, thank you very much, Alan. Thank you to Tom Williams for that lovely book.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever done that before. But thank you so much.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, Blue Sky. We've got our Reddit up and running now, so please do join there. It's a bit of a slow start. If you want to contact us, you can also get us by email, dynamofootballbookclub@gmail.com, and we have a new website, dynamofootballbookclub.com. Thank you to Mark Hickey for designing that lovely website.
Thank you indeed, folks, and we'll see you next week with our Giants draft.
Let your body spin like there is nothing.